And whenever there's a problem, they'll say, give them rice. Insecurity issues, give them rice. All right. Uh, no power, give them rice. Whatever the issue may be, rice is the solution. People are tired of rice. Some people that are still collecting it are collecting it. And a lot of people are starting to wake up and say, hey, it is time we demand solutions. And I also saw a video on X going around about the former president Obasanjo, basically saying that if you're in the position of power and you are not performing, you should not be seeking the second term in office. You should not be rewarding any poor performance. And it's unfortunate that that's what we're doing in Nigeria. And it's sad.
Yeah, I agree with you. Ideally, in ideal situation, we're not supposed to return Tinubu. Just like in Buhari's case, Buhari's first term was a disaster. In a perfect situation, he wasn't supposed to be re-elected, but guess what? He came back. And Nigeria is not an ideal country. Nigeria is an outlier, so it's not an ideal situation. With all of the things happening currently, the insecurity, the hunger in the land, high cost of living, energy cost. In fact, take it down to cement, almost 3 or 4 years ago, cement was almost was a less than 8,000 naira. Today, cement is almost going to 13,000 naira. So all of these things put together, if you really want to score this administration, you will definitely give them probably a strong C, and then that is not a pass mark.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Y&E podcast. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, share, and engage with us in the comment section. We're chatting about the ADC going to the INEC office to lay some complaints about what's going on in their party and how INEC has been treating them. And it looks like a lot of the big wigs in the ADC coalition showed up. Tinubu, Peter Obi was there, Atiku was there, Kwanso was there. So a lot of other big wigs, even David Mark, they all showed up and showed solidarity, and a lot of Nigerian youth supported them as well. And everybody's paying attention. And it looks like the government in power, they're not truly sure of what's going to happen because they've been acting uh a little bit weird because they've basically taken over all the systems, all the structures in place, especially INEC and all other um, independent structures. And it's unfortunate that this is happening. And, if you scroll through X, especially, you're going to see videos of Nigerian citizens staring the president's billboard in some part of Delta States, in some part of Kebbi States. And it looks like people are starting to wake up and, they're tired. They're tired. These people are hungry. They have no jobs. There's nothing to do. And the government is not really paying attention to them, and they think it's all politics. And whenever there's a problem, they'll say, give them rice. Insecurity issues, give them rice. All right. Uh, no power, give them rice. Whatever the issue may be, rice is the solution. People are tired of rice. Some people that are still collecting it are collecting it. And a lot of people are starting to wake up and say, hey, it is time we demand solutions. And I also saw a video on X going around about the former president Obasanjo, basically saying that if you're in the position of power and you are not performing, you should not be seeking the second term in office. You should not be rewarding any poor performance. And it's unfortunate that that's what we're doing in Nigeria. And it's sad.
Yeah, I agree with you. Ideally, in ideal situation, we're not supposed to return Tinubu. Just like in Buhari's case, Buhari's first term was a disaster. In a perfect situation, he wasn't supposed to be re-elected, but guess what? He came back. And Nigeria is not an ideal country. Nigeria is an outlier, so it's not an ideal situation. With all of the things happening currently, the insecurity, the hunger in the land, high cost of living, energy cost. In fact, take it down to cement, almost 3 or 4 years ago, cement was almost was a less than 8,000 naira. Today, cement is almost going to 13,000 naira. So all of these things put together, if you really want to score this administration, you will definitely give them probably a stronger C, and then that is not a pass mark, I'm afraid to say. But Nigeria is not an ideal situation, so definitely Tinubu will come back. With the regards to giving rice, the slogan in Nigeria now is we rise by rising others. So everything that happens, somebody falls sick, there is a massacre, there is a drought, there is just name it. They just, give rise. They push rise to the situation. It's unfortunate. I honestly agree with Baba Basenjo. But he himself, though he performed, but he himself tried to get a third term. He tried to amend our constitution to get a third term. So, well, we'll take the message and just leave the messenger alone. I don't think he has any moral ground to be speaking on that issue, though he performed, but there was no reason for him to try to pursue third term agenda. And I'm glad that people stood up to him and said, no, you couldn't do that. In the case of Tinubu, I hate to admit that is a walkover. He is actively trying to make sure that all the political parties are not able to candidate at the presidential level. Basically, he will be the only choice you have at the poll. And then he's working very hard towards that agenda. ADC was everybody thought was going to be a strong opposition, has not been factionized. It has three factions now. There is a faction led by Ibe Kachuku, their recent presidential candidate. There is another one led by another person from the north, and there is the one led by David Mark, plus the INEC Bruha. So like I said the other day, if I were to advise the opposition, I would definitely advise them to keep their money, because it's not worth it to waste your money. There is no way the opposition will be able to unseat Tinubu with everything. He has the INEC in his pocket. In fact, they just commissioned almost 50 houses for federal judges. Those are the judges that would decide the election. If you try to take the election result to court to prosecute, those are the people that will be deciding that, the outcome of that election. If I were the opposition, I would definitely keep my money. There is no reason to waste it. But if they insist, I wish them good luck. I don't see any path to winning.
I think you're being generous when you say you're going to give the government of the day a grade of C. A C is still a passing grade. It's just let my people go, right? That's what they call C. It's let my people go. Ideally, I wouldn't even give them a F. If there's a G or something, you give it to them. They've done woefully internationally, locally. They started with a bad idea. They started with the idea of removing a subsidy, even though they may have a legit justification for removing the subsidy. The subsidy messed everything up, and a lot of people is as talking about hunger is an international challenge. Of course, it is. There's hunger everywhere you go. But if you compare Nigeria to other countries of the same size, of the same uh, natural resources, you see that Nigeria is performing woefully. The leaders are doing worse than the other countries out there. Of course, people are hungry outside the country. Of course, some people that are still struggling. But rarely would you find a country where more than 50% of the people are falling below the poverty line in the last 2 to 3 years. Know about the inflation. We know about COVID, but coming out of COVID, even with the war, with the ongoing war, everything added and exacerbated the problem. But this being Nigerian problem, all this while, we have a lot of out of school children. We have a lot of people that are underemployed, and we have people that don't have jobs at all. Would you say people that are, taking less than the minimum wage have a gainful employment? No, but the statistics is kind of skewed because you have a job doesn't mean you're gainfully employed. If you're making below the minimum wage, it's basically nothing. The minimum wage in Nigeria is ridiculous compared to minimum wage in other countries. So 80,000, 70,000 naira is not going to uh, uh, buy a bag of rice and some sauce and some other, garnishment or ingredients to make the food comfortable and easily digestible for a family of four. So it's ridiculous that a lot of people are still finding justification for supporting the government, but I just don't want everybody to throw in their towel and say, no, we're going to Are you gonna give up on this and let him take over for the next 4 years? It's not good. People are gonna suffer the more. He knows that he's gonna run for the second time, and he's making policies that are making the lives of the people worse. So what is he gonna do when he has nothing to lose in the second term? Is he gonna shut everybody up? Is he gonna, uh, you know, embolden his followers to continue to do whatever crazy things they've been doing? There's still a lot of corruption in the land, and it's just crazy that the president is not doing about anything about insecurity. It's still there. Electricity issue is still there. So there are so many issues that are there. Even healthcare issues, right? We rarely talk about healthcare issues this day because you have to eat. You have to be able to have to feed your stomach before you remember you have a headache or you have a pain in your body. So a lot of people are not even worried about their health right now. They just want to go get something to eat and get to the next day. And it's just unfortunate.
I mean, you are completely right. In fact, the one that blew my mind was that our Minister of Health, I think Pate, went to France and was looking at Airbus air ambulance. He wants to introduce air ambulance into Nigeria. In fact, I saw it and I was like, is this going to be for the masses or this is just going to be for the elites? Because air ambulance is not cheap. Well, even if it's in Nigeria, you'll probably be talking about millions. How many people can afford it? Who are you buying it for? This thing, the local hospitals, a lot of them they don't even have staff. A lot of them they don't even have ambulance. Not a lot of them, almost all of them don't have ambulance. There is no even medication or drugs in the hospitals, and you are buying air ambulance instead of you to revive the primary health, health sector, health care, and you are going to spend millions and millions of dollars to say you are procuring air ambulance for who? For selected few. And that is why I say Nigeria is not an ideal situation. Is an outlier. Whatever thing, whatever you do in another country and it works, you try to replicate it in Nigeria, it will never work because it will not work. Like I said, unfortunately, Tinubu is still going to win. There is nothing we can do about it. Even if everybody vote against him, he will still win. I'm sorry to say that. 2023, he wasn't the president. In fact, he was not. He did not even. He wasn't having a good relationship with the president at that time. The presidency did not even want him to become the president at that time. Despite all, he still became the president. Not to talk of now that he's in the driver's seat. Come on, man. The opposition, I think they just love wasting resources. If I were them, I wouldn't even bother because it's a walkover. Whether we like it or not, the only thing that will stop Tinubu is debt. That is it. Is debt, and maybe he decide that I'm tired, I don't want to do it again. And even if he's tired and say he don't want to do it again, remember, the moment you become a president, you are no longer the president for yourself. You are the president for your region. Your region will try to persuade you to run again, and the people will be running the government on your behalf, even if you are not you are incapacitated. What they try to do with a Yaradua. People will run the government on your behalf so that your region will finish, their 8 years. So the only thing that will stop Tinubu is that if he is still alive by the time they conduct the election, he will sweep all the polls. He will sweep throughout. Yeah, let us know what you think about the protest that the ADC and the opposition had against INEC the other day in Abuja, and we'll be able to engage between the comment section.